Thank you. Thank you very much. Please have your seats. Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this amazing movie. Second time I've seen it in the last few days. It's just even better the second time. I would say it's wonderful to see a film about the British Raj that's not from the perspective of the British, from the freedom fighter. I just want to ask you about these two real-life characters from very different worlds, and what you wanted from bringing them to, the contrast between them, what you wanted to show bringing them together.
First of all, thank you, Mary, for doing this. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And, there are 2-3 aspects for that. One is that I always wanted to do a story of two heroes together, a multi-starrer. There is something very nice about two heroes who never met in their real life. Even in the story, bringing them together has a very nice feeling to it. And when I was reading the stories of Kumram Bhim and Allur Sitaram, who are freedom fighters from my part of the country, there were nice resemblances, coincidences. They were born around the same time. They left their homes around the same time when they were in their 20s. We don't know what happened to them for a period of 2-3 years. And they came back after 2-3 years and started fighting for the freedom of the people. So happening on the same timeline was so nice, and I thought, okay, if I can take those 2-3 years of history, which no one knows, and write a story of these two superheroes coming together, it is a fantastic idea for a great film. Apart from that, at the back of my mind, in my heart, a few years back, my state split into 2 states, Andhra and Telangana, and during that time, there was so much of angst and so much of anger, sense of betrayal towards each other. There was so much of animosity. I used to feel very bad, but there was nothing I could do. So I thought, in a way, these two great heroes are friends. Why can't we be friends? No, that is kind of the back of my mind.
Just for the benefit of the Americans, the non-Indians in the audience, about the final song, about the meaning of it.
It's basically a celebration. Unfortunately, both Kumram Bhim and Allur Sitaram Raju, even though they fought for the freedom of the people, they didn't live to see it. By the time India attained independence in 1947, they already passed away. So in a way, this is kind of saying, it's celebrating the independence, not actually showing in history that we attained independence, but also celebrating, not saying the word freedom, but saying that we celebrate this great day. And it's a list of the number of heroes that you see in the background. There are so many people who laid down their lives for the freedom of the country. It's a kind of bowing respect for that.
And I wanted to ask you about these two great actors that you worked with before.
Yes.
And why you chose them for this?
Working with one star itself is such a big headache, and working with two of them, you can understand the predicament of a director. For this project to happen, I wanted 2 stars who are close in their real life. They are. So luckily for me, they are good friends outside even before the film was made. They were good friends, and that really helped me a lot. So that is one of the reasons. Second thing is like the kind of characters that I was imagining in my mind. They suited perfectly well. Charan has those sad eyes about him, which feels like he has hidden so much of pain inside him. The moment you look at his eyes, you get that feeling, and the moment you look at Tarak, he looks like an innocent bull. He's so strong, but he's so innocent on the front of it. So those are 2 things that I looked out for.
Oh, that's true. Because they're, I know they're not superheroes, but they are, by the end, kind of mythic, you know, by, so are you paying kind of an homage to the great heroes, in a way, of epic, you know, epic heroes?
Yes, definitely, but and I also believe that human beings are capable of doing extraordinary things when they are emotionally charged up. That's one thing I make sure, even though I show them with superhuman strength, their emotions are quite real, and I push them to that limit where the audience are wanting them to do something extraordinary, and then the scene comes up.
But when you're directing them, you're keeping them kind of real, you're keeping them like the emotion, you know.
The emotions are very, very real. That is the key. If there is no strong emotion driving that particular action sequence or whatever they are doing on the screen, then there is a real danger of the scene going flat.
I love the way the music, in a way, is also part of the narration, and also part of it's literally the narration because it's telling the story in the lyrics, but it's part of the drive of the film. You know, it's hard to imagine this film without the score that completely propels it. And I love the voices as well, so it's almost like the voices of people. Can you just tell me a bit about how you're the composer that you work with often on everything, right? When you sat down with him, what did you tell him you wanted?
The composer that I work with all my films happens to be my cousin, my elder brother. So most of the conversations that I have with him is not about music. Very, very little about music. It is about, he tries to understand what is the flow of the story, how the emotions are flowing, and he tries to understand how I am envisioning it. Probably as he's talking to me, something is going in his mind, but we really discuss music very little. In fact, the discussion that I had with him is like, the only thing I said was like, I don't want music to be like Bahubali, which is my previous film. That's the only instruction I had for him. Mostly we were discussing like the flow, how should the story flow? And we have an interesting way of discussing. We have a dish called upma in India, and it is quite popular, we can see that. And there are a lot of cashew nuts in the dish. As children, when we eat, we always fight for who gets the more number of cashews. So we discuss the film is like that. All the highlights, all the peak points are cashews, and rest of the story is upma. Right? So we discuss like how many cashews do we have and how they are placed, and how the film is leading to those high points. Mostly that's the discussion that we had.
One of the cashews is the he was being tortured, and in America, you said this, you know, it was a Hollywood movie. They would say this would never work. He's being tortured horribly, and suddenly he starts singing, and it works perfectly. You know, you would never. Somehow it feels completely natural, and it's always a very important story point. And I want to ask you about this. You know, also he's a great singer. Is that's him singing?
No. The singer happens to be my nephew. Thank you very much. The way of the people of Telangana, the state from which Komram Bhim comes from, were kind of under oppression for like decades, and the way and they took up arms and they fought. The commoners fought, the farmers fought, the educated people went into the forest and became Naxalites and fought against oppression. And that fight went on for decades, and the principal weapon that they used in all this revolution is folk songs. Yes, that's how they spread the revolution, how they spread the idea of revolting against oppression. So for the people of Telangana, a song comes out at any given emotion. Let it be sadness, let it be laughter, let it be celebration, let it be pain, let it be death. The emotion comes out in a song. So.
And I also thought that in a way it was, you could correct me, but you're also referring to the fact that ultimately, you know, the revolution, the fight was successful really because of popular will, you know, not because of guns. You know?
No, definitely not because of guns, but also not just because of
or moral will. Or
yeah, moral
like
will.
a moral force of people, the people who came together.
Yes. See, if you take people like Bhagat Singh, who gave up his life when he was 21, Lutsi Ramaraju died when he was 24, and these people were fighting against a mighty enemy, and they are small people, very small people fighting against that mighty enemy. It is more than the guns. It is about the belief that even though we are small, if we keep on going in the direction that we are supposed to, if we don't bend our knee to the oppression, ultimately we are going to succeed. I think that's the spirit that the leaders gave to us rather than actually guns.
Like the moral, the conviction, or the...
Yes, conviction, right. That's the right word, conviction.
I want to ask you, obviously, your film has spectacular action sequences. Did you, and you said you have no second unit, so you're shooting everything. It's no side, it's all shot by you over 300 days, or?
Yeah, 320 days.
Do you choreograph do you have a fight choreograph, or do you choreograph every move yourself?
No, I don't choreograph everything. I have two fantastic choreographers. One is my fight choreographer called Solomon, and second is my dance choreographer called Prem. Those are the two guys behind most of the action scenes that I have seen, and the Natu dance, of course. He's the guy. Prem is the guy. I tell them what I want, and I also tell them what I don't want.
What sort of would you say?
For example, when you see the first fight of Charan when he is amidst the people, usually that kind of fight, what we see is when there is a lot of people fighting against one man, you see there is a lot of distance between the person and the fighter, and in the peripherals you can see the fighters are actually just dancing, pretending. So that's the thing I asked him. You cannot have distance between the fighter and the hero. They should be close, and no one can be dancing in the background. Everyone should be in line. So.
Anybody get bruised in this? Like, it must be very difficult when you're keeping it so real to kind of.
Actually, the number of days that Solomon took to choreograph that fight was close to 3 months. And he practiced so hard that everyone looks very, very violent, but no one gets hurt. In the whole sequence, which we shot for about 20 plus days, there were minor scratches or bruises, but no one was hurt.
No, I really appreciate the way you shot that. You know, there's a tendency now in action sequences where everything's just kind of like cut up like confetti, whereas yours, you really see always at every moment what is happening within the struggle, which is really impressive.
Thank you.
Before, you know, when we were talking before the film started, you're saying that, you know, even in a successful film, there's things you consider failures. That in scenes, and you've made a lot of films, you made a lot of successful films. This is probably this is the biggest, most successful film in any Indian film. When you approached it with all your experience, did you say, "This I'm going to get right. This I've learned. These are the mistakes I've made, and I'm going to get this right"? What were you thinking about?
I mean, with experience, you get to know these kind of sequences tend to get wrong, get to go overboard, or tend to get lost in translation. So we'll be quite wary of it. So when those kind of sequences come, we work extra hard. We do a lot of pre-visualization, do a lot of pre-work, test shooting, and all that stuff.
So you shoot things like as a rehearsal, shooting?
Yes, we rehearsal a lot. We rehearsal with the stunt guys, with the dancers, with the actors. Sometimes even if it is a normal, simple scene, for example, a simple scene like Jenny, Beam, and Ram and Jenny having that conversation with the motorcycle. Even that scene, I try to shoot it with my assistant directors. I make them act. I make them act and shoot the scene so that when we go to the shoot, everyone is clear about what needs to be done.
So you're shooting it all day, but then you go home and you watch other things that you've shot, and so there's an enormous amount of work involved because you're shooting rehearsal, or you shoot this in rehearsal time.
I mean, the way we go about is like, usually I shoot for about 15-20 days a month. So the next 10 days is preparation for the next episode. So we plan a big episode, rehearse for it, shoot it. As the editing and other things are going with that scene, we go for the next one. So it goes like shoot, break, shoot, break, shoot, break.
And in the film tradition, which is very popular and we don't know enough about here, I think, is the cinema that you come from, because you come from a film family, your father was a screenwriter, everybody seems to be involved in film in your family. Is it particularly great at action, or what is the strengths of the tradition that you come out of?
The sense of drama. Growing up, all my uncles, my father's brothers are like extremely knowledgeable in epics, in history, in languages, in poetry, everything. And as growing up, we continuously hear their conversations, and most of the times that I was pulled towards those conversations was when there was drama or when there was stories, especially from the epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata. I was really, really drawn to them. So that is the thing that I took from them. Action-wise, I think I have that built inside me, a kind of sense of action that comes mostly from the Western films. A lot of influence of Western films on me.
It's interesting because it seems sort of not a fusion, but informed by the pace and everything, the sort of dynamism, but done in your own way of certain Western action films.
Yes, absolutely. Like from childhood, I really, really loved films like Ben-Hur, Braveheart, Gladiator, all the epic action period dramas. And I love my stories, my Indian stories. So I always wanted to see my Indian stories told in that scale.
I found that very exciting because I don't know much about it, but the one thing I do know, I haven't seen like the Mahabharata on stage a couple of times, and it was very beautiful. It was in Britain. It was very beautiful, but a little boring. Yeah. And then when I saw your film, and it's not the Mahabharata, but it is. And when I saw it, I thought, oh, that's the Mahabharata. That's how it should be done. That's the spirit of it. It should be as exciting as that.
What I have done here is, I would say, a minuscule ant's head of what Mahabharata can be.
Yeah.
Yes, I would really love to do, but the kind of imagery that I have in my head for Mahabharata, I think I need more time. I need to learn more film craft to get it on the screen. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we can only hope that you get to make the ultimate epic, but you've made a great epic here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the creation.
It is a labor of love of almost 1,000 people work for 3 years. I will definitely take this love and appreciation back to the unit back in India. Thank you so much. Thank you. Namaskar.